4 photos that I want to scrap, and I'm using the Persimmon collection from Basic Gray with this leaf pattern as my background. I liked this paper with the photos because I have this photo of these cattails and other grasses that were in the area we walked on this boardwalk around through this marshland, and we were actually out there looking for birds. We didn't see any birds, but it was so peaceful, and that's the feeling that I want to convey, is how peaceful and cool it was. And it was such a nice change from the previous couple of days that we'd been enjoying on our vacation, but those were a little more hectic, and this was just a nice, more relaxing time. So here's my sketch. I've got 3 by 5 photos, and then I'm going to crop this one down a little bit and put an embellishment beside of it, and this paper will serve as the background for the top part. And then down here on the bottom, I think I'm going to add another one of the papers from the collection. I've pulled out, weeded things down to these choices. I like this navy with it. I love the striped paper. I should have got 2 sheets of that. I'm not sure about the gold. I have the back kind of earmarked for something else, but I still may use some of that gold. I think I have another idea for birds, so I probably won't use the bird paper. I love this stripe, but when I put the stripe with it, to me, it suddenly went very bold. And beautiful paper, but it just doesn't convey the theme or the feel that I want. So I'm going to stick, I think, to the navy and gold primarily, and then I may pull in a little bit of brown and just keep this more in the neutral shades. Where I'll be using the brown is for matting. At least that's my thought right now. I'm not positive I want to do the matting. Once I saw the sketch printed out, I thought, do I want to mat all these photos? I don't know. We'll see on the background. But the first thing I'm going to do is trim off all the white, because I know I don't want a white mat. The background paper is a little more ivory. And I have a number of different cardstocks that I'll try out for mats once I get them trimmed down. Now, embellishment for this page, I did not buy, the only embellishment I bought for this collection were the little wooden cards, and there wasn't anything that worked here for those. So I'm going to need to come up with some embellishments. I went through my stash, and I sort my embellishments by soft embellishments like these canvas or burlap pieces and these canvas pieces, and hard embellishments like brads and wood veneers. So I found several things there. I pulled out these pink paisley elements that I may use since I'm going to be building a little shelf down here underneath the photos to separate the different areas of the page. I may use those. And I've got a bingo card I kind of like possibly tucking in up here underneath the photo. When I went to look at stamps, I thought birds would be a good thing to use on here for embellishments, even though we didn't see birds. That was kind of our objective. And I have a few little wooden birds. They came as part of a kit, so I don't have very many of those. When I got to stamps, I didn't go very far until I got to this one. And I've used this stamp before. It was a Hostess set for Stamping Up last year, I think. I've used this exact same one on another layout, but it matches so perfectly with the leaf theme and the little bird that I feel like it will be the perfect embellishment maybe to use in one of these wood frames. And it'll be different colors on this layout than what I did with it on a fall page last year. So those are my products. First step is to trim down these photos.
Trying lots of different cardstocks. Some lighter brown here from Stamping Up, the brown sugar color, and then the soft suede, the darker brown. The ivory definitely didn't work, didn't do a thing for the photos, and that other lighter gray paper from Michaels didn't work. This is Basil cardstock, or Basil Craft cardstock, and it's not bad. I'm just trying to decide which one I like. I decided to go with one of the browns. I like both the lighter one and the darker one, but I think the darker one brings out the photos a little bit more. So that's the direction that I was planning to go in. I was just double checking here with some of the other paper options that I'm going to be using. And I got all set to do the dark brown, and I went and got that paper out, and then I realized that I wanted to add a little bit of stamping and stuff to it, and if I did that it was going to be awfully dark. And I remembered that I had the lighter brown color already misted from a previous project. If you recall, a last week or something, I did a page that I had done this whole background and decided I didn't like it. So I still had that paper, and I thought that I could use it for mats. You wouldn't see very much of the misted, but you would see a little bit of additional color around the edges, and it would give it a more distressed look. And that's what I did, and here are the photos that I matted. And you can see some of the misted area with the mask on one side and just some little droplets on the other. And it just takes that brown and it makes it a little bit darker and gives it a little more interest, and it allowed me to use up that page. So now I have some pink paisley mistable borders here, and I want to use one of them with the manila color. Now sometimes the manila color comes out green and sometimes it comes out more brown. It's a color from Studio Calico, but it's a medium brownish greenish tone that I used quite a bit. I'm cutting apart the mistable there so I can just take it on its backing and apply the mist and then let it dry. Once I sprayed that on there, it beat it up a lot and it really didn't seem to soak in good. So a paintbrush is helping me spread that out. It looks like it's going to be a little more greenish tone, but that's still going to work with my background papers. And then we'll let that dry. And here's the finished product. It'll be ready to go on the page in a moment. And I'm going to stamp my bird with the vintage photo in Ranger ink and vintage photo and old paper. The way I'm going to do this is apply the old paper color, which is kind of a light goldish tint, all over, and then take the vintage photo color and just sponge it around the edges so that the outside is darker than the inside. And now I have a little more brown on the outer edges and a little bit lighter color on the inside, checking that to make sure it looks good with the papers. And I've got several of these bird images that I wanted to use. They're from Studio Calico. And I'd also like to add some leaves, and I thought I'd be using that big bird there and then in the middle of the design and then adding a couple of leaves. But I'm not really sure about how these leaves are looking. I decided the one was just too large, so I got out two smaller leaves. I briefly considered the canvas ones and decided those weren't going to help in size any. And with these I can color them. They're mistables, but you can also use chalks. And I have the Stampin' Up! Pastels. They don't sell these anymore. It's an older product, but there are other companies that sell chalks. With these canvas things, you can use all kinds of stuff. You can use ink, you can use paint, lots of different things. So it's kind of whatever markers, whatever you have to add color. And so I decided to do the chalk as it would give it a really soft look in just various golds and greens. And I thought that it would be pretty, though, to color in the branch that's in the middle of this design. Added a brown marker, and I'm going to do the leaves here in green. I went ahead and trimmed it down. And I'm trying the smaller bird. I'm thinking that might work better with the leaves, and it does. I thought the small bird would be too small, but it really looks good there, and then the leaves aren't so much the same size as the bird. And I'm coloring it now in some goldish colored ink. I'm wondering if maybe it needs a little more color, maybe with some blue to match the blue paper. So this is a not quite navy ink marker. It's the only dark blue marker that I had, and it was awfully dark. So I'm trying to lift a little bit of that ink off of it with paper. I like the color, but I inadvertently colored one going the wrong direction. So I can flip it over and use it somewhere else on the page. Decided to try to get a little bit more of that blue ink out, though it was awfully dark, and using some alcohol on a paper towel, just rubbing alcohol, helps to take the ink out and lighten it up some. So I think that's a good way to do the color. I just have the bird going the wrong way, so I'm going to recolor the one that I have and then use my paper towel to lighten it up just a little bit so it's not quite that dark a blue. And I ended up with it almost too light, so I went back and tried it again. And now I think I'm happy with my bird. I'll be ready to put that together. ready to put the page together, and I've just trimmed off the bottom and added a 2-inch strip of the blue, a little over 2-inch strip of the blue pattern. I was going to do gold between the two layers, but my letter stickers, some of them are a dark color and they're going to need to sit on something light, so I think I'm going to reserve the gold paper for that and put a darker border between the different areas, the bottom and the top. And so I have some dark navy paper, the back side of that one paper, that I can use. I also have this trim I originally got, I think, from Walmart. I have used and used and used it. It's a denim trim, and it just works with a lot of different things. You'll notice I'm starting to put together some of the other pieces up there, the word perfect up at the top, and kind of figuring out where things are going to go at the bottom. I also have this strip that was part of the branding strip. I have to decide which one of them I want to save, and I'm going to save the one with the navy and the stripe, but I didn't end up using it. It was too much like the other things that were already there, and it just didn't fit in. It wasn't the right scale and just didn't fit in with everything. So I think the navy, I thought about just kind of moving that stripe strip down and letting some of the navy peek out at the top, but that was going to make it too short. Now my bingo card, I trimmed off some of the bottom of it, you know how I like to save paper, thinking that I would use that on maybe a mixed media project later on, but I've come up with a way to use it on the layout, and you'll see that towards the end. So we're just kind of setting that aside for now. And here are things coming together, putting the layers down, adding some of that denim trim, and I'm going to put the larger bird down there with it. And I need to add a little bit more denim trim to balance. I really wish I'd put it underneath that round embellishment that I've already glued down. I'm wondering if I can take the leaves up and maybe sneak it underneath, because it's not looking good over the top of it. Fortunately, my gluing wasn't so good this time, so it helped me out to be able to pull that up, and then I can eventually hot glue those things in place. Figuring out where the words are going to go down there at the bottom. And I have some brads that I want to sneak in here too that are the right colors. Brads work really well in the holes of that denim trim. I've used it so many times I know that works good. Alright, the bingo card, what I've ended up doing with it, there happens to have all the numbers of the date of our day, which was 9/21/13. So I'm just cutting out those numbers and then putting them together to form the date at the bottom. And I don't know that somebody would know it came from the bingo card, but the color is the same as the color at the top, so it repeats that.
Okay, let's take a look at our completed page. Got in our 4 photos with a little journaling tucked in, and I was able to use some of this card down here for the date. Added some trim along the shelf along with the misted border, and I tucked in 2 more leaves. I had originally done 3, and I went ahead and added 2 more to get a proper grouping. And then our birds, some blue and some gold, and the title down along the bottom. So everything came out pretty much along the sketch, except I didn't do this block down here. I just sort of put more embellishment up in this area to balance everything out. So let's look at some close-ups. Now at the beginning I said that I wanted a more neutral page, something kind of peaceful and quiet. I'm not sure if this looks real peaceful because there's a lot of pattern here, but this is neutral to me. I don't do well with beiges and grays and blacks and stuff. I just can't do it. I can see beautiful layouts that other people do, and those are colors that a lot of people can wear and mix them and arrange them and just make them gorgeous, but neutral is just not good for me, or this is as neutral as I get. A goldish color and blue are neutral, or navy blue are neutral to me. So that's what works for me. But anyway, this is I think a good representation of our day and all the leaves and everything that we saw out there, and it was a very nice, peaceful day. So anyway, thanks for joining me, and be sure and check out my blog for more information.